So dear students, let's start second part of this chapter. In this part we'll study about words to describe people. In this topic we will discuss about the words which are used for people, particular people. So in Rigveda some people were described by using some words, and with the help of some words we can understand the people and their work. Clear? As you know that Rigveda was composed during 1500 BC to 1000 BC, right? During this period Rigveda was composed. So what kind of society was there and what kinds of people were there and what they used to do, this thing has been described in Rigveda, right? And we can identify, we can estimate by studying some words written in Rigveda. For example, first word was this one. Two groups who are described in terms of their work, the priest first and second one is Rajas. Clear? Priests were the people, those who were called Brahmins and who performed various rituals. Clear? And second one, Rajas. These Rajas were not like the ones you will be learning about later. About priests or Brahmins you can understand. They used to do the religious practices. They performed various ritual practices also, and worshipping the god. Clear? Yajnas, etc. These things they used to do. Rajas were not like the ones you will be learning about later. Means the Raja, you can have the image in your mind about Raja or king. Clear? The ruler of entire state, very powerful, having the state capital. Clear? And the big armies. But during the Rigvedic period, Rajas did not have capital cities. They did not have capitals. They did not have palaces, armies, and also they did not have the power to collect taxes. They did not collect the taxes. So they were different Rajas. Generally, sons did not automatically succeed fathers as Rajas. It means there was no dynastic rule, no dynastic system. What is the dynasty or dynastic rule? Dynastic rule means if the son of the ruler becomes the king after the death of his father, means king, that is known as dynastic system or dynasty rule. So there was no dynastic system, and two words were used to describe the people or the community as whole. One was the word Jana. Now we have discussed about the people and their work. Now we are going to discuss about the communities. One was the word Jana, which we still use in Hindi, Jan, and other languages. The other was wish. The word Vaishyas comes from wish. You will learn more about this in chapter number 5. Several wish or Jana are mentioned by name. So we find reference to the Puru Jana or Puru Wish, the Bharat Jana or Bharat Wish, Yadu Jana or Yadu Wish, and so on. Various examples we can take. Sometimes the people who compose the hymns describe themselves as Aryas. Hymns are the ritual songs or religious songs, we can say. So Aryas also means called their opponents Dasas or Dashus. Aryas used to write the hymns, and their opponents were called Dasas and Dashus. These were people who did not perform sacrifices and probably spoke different languages. Later the term Dasa and the feminine Dasa and Dasis were known as slave. Slaves were women and men who were often captured in war. The defeating side was captured by the winning Raja or kings, and those arrested people were kept in the prisons and they were made slaves. They were sold sometime and they were purchased by other people, and sometimes they were kept as property. So they were considered as property, they were treated as property of their owners or kings, who could make them do whatever work they wanted, right? So whatever the owners used to order them, the slaves and dasas and the shoes had to do the same. While the Rigveda was being composed in the northwest of the subcontinent, there were other developments elsewhere. Let's look at the some of these. First, silent sentinels. Sentinels means soldiers. Silent sentinels means, here the meaning is referring to the stones standing silently, clear, megaliths. Related to stones, literally means stones, old stones. So these stone boulders are known as megaliths. Literally big stones, large stones. Boulders are large stones. These were carefully arranged by people and were used to mark burial sites where something was buried. So to identify that place, to mark that place, they used these boulders. The practice of erecting megaliths began about 3000 years ago and was prevalent throughout the Deccan, South India. Deccan is situated in southern India, in the northeast also, and Kashmir also in the northern part of the subcontinent. Some important megalith sites are shown on map 2, page 13. We discussed about that. While some megaliths can be seen on the surface, other megalith burials are often underground. Here you can see this image. This type of megalith is known as a cyst. Some cysts, like the one shown here, have port holes which could be used as an entrance. Porthole used as an entrance. Sometimes archaeologists find a circle of stone boulders or single large stone standing on the ground. These are the only indications that there are burials beneath. Clear? So these were used for identification. There were several things that people did to make megaliths. We have made a list here. Try and arrange them in the correct order. You can see here. Digging pits in the earth, transporting stones, breaking boulders, placing stones in position, finding suitable stones, shaping stones, and burying the dead. So all these burials have some common features. Generally, the dead were buried with distinctive pots, which are called black and red ware. Also found are tools and weapons of iron, and sometimes skeletons of horses, horse equipment, and ornaments of stone and gold. So these all the things were kept with the dead body when they buried under the earth. Clear? Same kinds of things we have studied in Harappan civilization or Mesopotamian civilization, right? Here you can see some images. This one, this is iron equipment, horse equipment it is called, used for horses. And this one is axes, image of axes were used to cut the wood and trees, plants, and skin of animals, right? And this one is a dagger used for different purposes. After that, finding out about social differences. Now we'll know about social differences. Clear? How can we know about the categories in society? What kind of social differences, and how can we know about that social differences were there in Rigvedic period? Archaeologists think that objects found with a skeletal probably belong to the dead person. Sometimes more objects are found in one grave than in another. Sometimes a few objects were found, sometimes more objects were found. So the dead body with which more objects found, it means can be considered a rich person, of a rich person. For example, in Brahmagiri, one skeleton was buried with 33 gold beads, 2 stone beads, 4 copper bangles, and 1 conch shell. It means might be a very rich person. Other skeletons have only a few pots. These finds suggest that there was some difference in status amongst the people who were buried. Some were rich, others poor, some chiefs, others followers. So with the help of this kind of example, we can know about the social differences in the society. So dear students, in this video we have discussed two topics. You have to revise by watching this video again and making notes. If you have any doubt, you can write me in comment box. Thank you. Have a nice day.